Tonight, we're celebrating Hispanic heritage in Central Illinois and around the state. We'll introduce you to a local mayor who never intended to go into politics, but his love for the community left him no choice.
You live here, you see kind of the issues the town have.
Plus, the sounds of mariachi with a feminine twist.
We want to make sure that we feel comfortable with ourselves while we're performing.
We'll tell you the secret behind more and more Hispanics realizing the dream of homeownership.
Everything is possible, and nothing worth having comes easy.
And
We're not just your traditional ice cream shop.
in the mood for something more exotic than regular old chocolate and vanilla, give your sweet tooth a treat as we take you to La Michoacana ice cream shop.
From WCIA 3, this is Hispanic Heritage.
Thanks for joining us this evening. I'm Karina Rubio. Arcola is a city that sits inside Douglas County. There's about 3,000 people who call it home. 40% of that are Hispanic people, and the little town of Arcola made big history earlier this year, electing its first Hispanic mayor. There's about 1,400 miles separating Arcola from the town of Cadereyta in Mexico. That's where Jesus Garza's journey started. Born and raised and eventually married, Garza and his wife welcomed their first son in Mexico.
Always you want something better for your family.
That's why in 1993, Garza and his family made the move to the U.S., following in his father's footsteps, who had moved to Arcola in the 70s to work. And Garza's first impression?
Oh, wow, it's a small town. But my dad said, oh, no, this is a nice town. Well, working for maybe a few years and go back to Mexico.
But that's not exactly how it worked out. Bienvenidos a Arcola, or welcome to Arcola, is something Mayor Garza heard quite often from people when he first moved here, but he never thought he would be here nearly 3 decades later as Arcola's mayor. But he didn't come here with the hopes of stepping into office. Garza worked several jobs across Central Illinois until achieving his dream of owning his own mechanic shop, 3J's Transmission. That's where you can find many of his family members hard at work, like his daughter, Jessica. She says it was spur of the moment, but not a shocker when her dad started his campaign for mayor.
It didn't surprise us because he's always taking the lead, and he's always trying to help people.
Family first is big in Hispanic culture, but Garza extends that helping hand to everyone he meets. That's one reason why Garza ran and won the mayor's seat back in April.
You live here, you see kind of the issues the town have, and your kids growing, you have grandkids now, and you say, well, you want something better for your town.
One thing at the top of his list, revitalizing the downtown area with more businesses. There are some already in the works, like a Mexican bakery and a cantina with Mexican food and drinks.
It's good to see that our own heritage is coming into town and also making a change.
But inciting change can take a lot of labor and patience. Thankfully, that's always been one of Garza's main mottos.
Working hard. More I do it, more I love this job.
Garza says that Mexican bakery and the cantina are set to open this winter. He says he and other city leaders are in the process of applying for grants. Now, Hispanics aren't just making progress on the political front, they're also realizing success on the business front. City leaders across Illinois say dozens of Hispanic businesses have opened in the last few months. One of those hotspots, Peoria. Durante Matthews shows us a few of those ventures.
If you take a trip down North Prospect Road in Peoria, you'll run into the recently opened Miranda's Bella Boutique. A hidden gem is what owner Maria Miranda likes to call it, a shop ringing true to her Hispanic roots.
Everybody knows me, the pride that I have of my Mexican culture. So yes, it has to be screaming Mexican culture all over.
And that it does. The boutique exhibiting everything from Mexican pottery to religious ceramic, dresses, candles, and more.
They can find all the religious things that we use for our parties, for the baptism and the first communions, quinceañeras and weddings.
She says the business originally started out of her basement and now is overjoyed to be expanding it.
The community is growing, so it's very much needed here in Peoria.
And this is just one of more than 10 Hispanic businesses in the Central Illinois area relocating or opening up in the past 3 months. Last month, Rogelio Reteguin opened Rising Tide in East Peoria. I was planning on opening in Chicago, but the best thing to do was open here in Peoria. They've truly received me well. The shop offers paintball machines, camping, fishing, and other lifestyle items, as well as serving as a battery station inside. Reteguin says there are more opportunities for success in this area. The president of the Greater Peoria Hispanic Chamber of Commerce agrees, saying there's still more to come.
Whether it's a celebration of our culture, whether it's things for lifestyle, whether it's celebration, nightclubs, places to dance, more restaurants, we're going to bring more flavor.
The recent U.S. Census data show the U.S. is diversifying itself. The Hispanic population now makes up 18.7% of the country's population. The Greater Peoria Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is working to prepare those interested in owning their own business to follow through. Well, it's trumpets, violins, and guitars. It's the music of Mexico and an unmistakable reflection of Hispanic culture. But this band is not your ordinary mariachi band. Coming up, the secret ingredient that makes this band stand out amongst the others. We'll introduce you to the Mariachi Sirenas coming up next. Welcome back to WCIA 3 Celebration of Hispanic Heritage. We've combed the state looking for stories reflecting the impact Hispanic culture has had on the land of Lincoln. Now we want to introduce you to a group of women shaking up traditional Mexican music. They call themselves Mariachi Sirenas. Lourdes Durarte shows us how they're inspiring a new generation of Latinas.
Do the first measure.
It takes practice and a lot of heart to make the kind of music that has elevated all 11 of these women to become one of the most sought-after mariachi bands in the Midwest.
I remember having this idea, I think I was like around 17.
But it wasn't until 3 years ago that Yvette Herrera helped launch Mariachi Sirenas. If you're wondering what that means, Sirenas means mermaids. But no matter what language you speak, they've made a splash on a traditionally male-dominated industry.
Half of the girls have full-time jobs, and then the other half are in college, and I have one high schooler.
So between sneakers and book bags, every week is packed with gigs.
And if we're lucky, we get Mondays off.
But it hasn't been easy. They had to first win the support of their peers.
I would get a lot of, but you guys are just women. Why are you guys charging that much?
And then the public, who was used to the deeper tones of all male mariachi performers.
Now it's more of, oh, you guys are actually busy. That's interesting to know that you guys actually have work.
And while they're the only all-female mariachi group in Chicago, women have contributed to this style of music for generations.
There have been female mariacheras. There have been female mariachi groups. A female mariachi group actually went to Vietnam to play for the troops in a USO show.
A lot has changed since then.
Just like our trajes in itself, it's not the original cut that's just a straight skirt cut. We have more of a mermaid skirt. Do your hair however you're feeling. If you want to have it up, have it up. If you want to have it down, have it down. Just, make sure it's you. We want to make sure that we feel comfortable with ourselves while we're performing and not just putting on a literal mask to fit this idea of what traditional mariachi women should look like.
Las Sirenas have for the most part stuck to tradition, keeping music lyrics with just slight adjustments to the sound.
It's hard, especially for the trumpets, because their range, they can only go so high. And once you switch it to a female key, it's kind of rearranging their instrumentations, their adornos there. Yeah, that's fun though.
Yes, mermaids are known for pushing the envelope a bit. Legend has it they sometimes lure sailors to danger. But in this case, Las Sirenas' main goal is to sing at one of Chicago's most iconic landmarks.
We want to perform in Millennium Park. Yeah, it's our goal.
Sí, señor! 6 of the 7 current members are first-generation Mexican-American. 5 are first-generation musicians. Now, mariachi is not just for grown-ups. Students from an Illinois middle school are learning how to play traditional Mexican music. The Glenview Middle School Mariachi Band started in 2015. Now, it's the only band that has middle school students in the Quad Cities. Carla Sosa has that story.
1, 2, measure 5, go.
A classroom at Glenview Middle School is filled with students who fell in love with mariachi music. That's the case for Solimar Garcia. She's been part of the mariachi band for 4 years.
Sometimes my family listens to mariachi, so when I heard there's a mariachi club here, I was like, perfect, just for me.
Hannah Whelan started playing the violin when she was in 5th grade and thought being part of mariachi would be something cool to do.
I seen my friend playing it when she was in 5th, and I just thought it was really cool and wanted to do it after her.
Brianna Reese started to learn how to play the trumpet 3 weeks ago. She wanted to continue learning more about her heritage since her dad is from Mexico.
It's really loud. I like instruments that are loud. So like you can mostly hear the trumpet.
Even louder violins, repeat.
Monique Hill is the mariachi music director and says their program is the only one in the area that has middle school students learning mariachi music.
The next closest in Illinois would be Chicago. And West Liberty in Iowa did just start one, but that was high school, and that was kids who already do play instruments. The 6th graders are about twice the size of the 7th and 8th grade group, and they practice on different days.
Ian Park got involved after learning about it, and like many music students, he works on his craft.
At home, I practice 3 to 4 days a week, and a lot of the time I practice my notes.
And repeat.
Emma Noah grew up in a family of musicians and wants to keep learning different styles of music.
I like the sounds of different musics. Classical kind of sounds boring sometimes, so if you play different folk tunes, it sounds really cool.
Solimar says she is already a role model for her younger sister.
My sister wants to join.
Hill says they lost some students in class because of the pandemic, but their goal now is to recruit more. Now, what's better than ice cream on a hot summer day? How about ice cream that blends mango, lime, chamoy, and tajin? Up next, we'll take you to La Michoacanas, where there is an Hispanic twist on this traditional summertime treat. It's a story sure to make you feliz. A popular Mexican ice cream shop opened in Loves Park, Illinois near Rockford during the pandemic. Michelle Ray spoke with the owner of La Michoacanas to find out what makes her business special and successful.
We're not just your traditional ice cream shop.
When you walk into La Michoacana in Loves Park, you'll see more than 20 different flavors of ice cream.
We also have all homemade ice cream, homemade paletas, yogurts, down to our aguas frescas.
But there's a twist.
We also offer a lot of Mexican snacks, such as elotes, dorilocos, chicharrones preparados. So customers don't just come here for ice cream, they come here for snacks.
Stephanie Torres Martinez is the owner of La Michoacana in Loves Park. She opened up shop last year during the pandemic.
Before we knew it, businesses were closing their doors while we were trying to open ours. So I'll be honest, it was very scary, a little disheartening at first. We really wanted to open our doors, give ourselves a fighting chance.
Her parents serving as her biggest inspiration.
I was actually born in Mexico, and I was raised in a little town called Poplar Grove. My parents actually started their first ice cream shop in Mexico. That's kind of where this whole entire story starts. In 1990, Sonora, Mexico, they pursued their dream of opening an ice cream shop over there. I've never known anyone more harder working than my parents, so I always, strive to make them proud and make my own way in this country.
Would you like a small, medium, or a large?
A large.
Large?
Yes, please.
Customers like Shantae Rodriguez say she can't get enough.
How often do you come out here?
At least once a week, yeah. And my sister, we live together, so she comes when I don't, so one of us is always here.
Stephanie says it brings her joy to be able to offer people a tiny piece of Mexico with its traditional desserts and snacks, like the very popular mangoñada.
So first we want to line the cup up with the chamoy, which is the sweet and sour candy sauce. Spray a little bit of lime all over. Cover all the sides with the tajin.
Then it's time to pick an ice cream flavor.
Most popular, as it's also included in its name, is the mangoñada. So we're gonna make that one today. We'll do a couple pieces of mango here, just to top it off.
And you'll reapply the same products you put in the first time.
And that's a mangoñada.
Stephanie says she's excited for what lies ahead.
We are definitely looking into hopefully next spring or summer having a ice cream truck. of some sort. So definitely plans for that, and we'll see what the future holds for us.
Now, Michoacana has a motto: ice cream makes me feliz. They say their goal is to let every customer leave feeling happy, not just from the tasty ice cream, but from the laughter and memories shared with one another. Now, nothing is as American as the dream of owning your own home, and these days, more and more Hispanic Americans are realizing just that. That's in part because more and more Hispanic Americans are getting into the business of helping people buy and sell homes. Michelle Rave has that story.
I was looking for about 6 months, and it was difficult because if it's not one thing, it's another.
It's been a long journey for Yvette Rojas to find her dream home, a journey including the stress.
My worries and concerns are all the hidden costs, or just the all the information that we don't know as first-time home buyers, and how to do it in the process, and whether it's a long process or not.
Yaned Escobedo is a real estate agent at Keller Williams Realty. She helped Rojas find a home. Escobedo says she also noticed a pattern.
To be honest, I think like 70% are Hispanic, 30% are other nationalities.
According to a study by Redfin, Hispanic homeownership has grown in the last 6 years, with 50% of adult Hispanic Americans owning a home in 2020.
You can definitely see it. Even a lot of people that don't have, they're working with IT numbers, they're even trying to get a way to get a house as well.
Rojas tells me it was helpful to have Escobedo advise her during this stressful journey and help her find her dream home in Rockton.
Everything is possible, and nothing worth having comes easy, but it is 100% worth it. And I think when you think about it as future, I mean, it's always going to be the best decision for your future.
Reporting in Rockton for your home team, I'm Michelle Rave.
The latest survey from the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals shows the Hispanic homeownership rate in Illinois is just over 47%. Now, before selfies were a thing, artists would capture images of themselves with self-portraits, and this woman was one of the best at it. Up next, we'll tell you about the legacy of Frida Kahlo, an artist who expressed herself in good times and in bad with the power of her paintbrush. She's become a cultural icon around the world, a champion who overcame great adversity. We take a closer look at Mexican artist Frida Kahlo.
It's a face that's recognizable worldwide, the captivating look and the eyebrows that turn heads. Frida Kahlo's image is symbolic of a strong woman whose self-portraits are some of Mexico's national treasures.
The more you study her, the more you realize how everything about her was symbolic.
And for the last few months, that symbolism drew at least 100,000 people to Illinois' College of DuPage.
In 3 months, from around the world in a pandemic.
All for a chance to walk along the walls that line her work. Overseeing that collection, Diana Martinez. She spent the last 4 years studying every piece of Kahlo.
She was very bright. She read and wrote in English, German, Spanish, French. She was very well read. I think Frida was so ahead of her time, you know, in terms of women's rights and believing in yourself.
She says Frida may be today's original selfie queen, but her work goes back to the 20s and 30s.
She was doing hand-painted selfies in her most vulnerable moments. And she showed herself when she miscarried a child. She showed herself suffering after a surgery that went wrong. She showed her pain.
That pain meant 30 surgeries, a major accident at the age of 18, and a battle with polio as a child. It's those stories of survival and resilience that have resonated with generations, a cultural icon in her home country and abroad.
My bucket list is to really see as many Frida works as I can.
I think it's her style that really draws people to it, because her self-portraits are just so stunning that it's hard not to be drawn to them.
Which is why in Chicago's Pilsen community, the National Museum of Mexican Art is prepping for a Frida exhibit of its own next year.
The public cannot get enough of Frida. One of the exhibitions is traveling from her home museum, Casa Azul, in Mexico City. There are photographs that she collected throughout her life.
With so much Illinois love for Frida, here's a question that many are trying to answer. Did Frida Kahlo ever make a stop in Chicago?
We suspect that at some point before she got to Detroit, they got off that train at the major hub known as Chicago, and perhaps they spent a night or two here.
They love to travel. Frida loved to go visit and go see. So there's no question in my mind that she made it to Chicago.
But there's no tangible proof of that, though. We know her husband, Diego Rivera, painted 27 murals at the Detroit Art Institute back in 1932, and Frida was with him. In that time, they struck up a friendship with dance legend and Illinois native Katherine Dunham.
She is like the grandmother of African dance, right? She lived in Glen Ellen. She was born in Glen Ellen, the town that is here. And when we figured that huge string out, we were like, are you kidding that they were friends and they met?
It's those tiny clues that continue to add on to the Frida Kahlo story, a Mexican icon transcending generations and borders.
I think in this time after the pandemic and what our country's gone through, she's just a great inspiration to keep moving forward.
Frida Kahlo's self-portrait, Diego Illo, is going on auction at Sotheby's this fall. It's expected to collect at least $30 million. The fabric of our community is consistently changing as our society becomes more and more diverse. We hope you've enjoyed tonight's special program celebrating Hispanic heritage. Good night.